Okay, so let's take a look at probability. Now, probability will definitely come up in your quantitative reasoning section, so let's take a look. Now, before I continue, let me just emphasize that majority of the quantitative reasoning questions, specifically the probability ones, are relatively simple and just require you going over your GCSE maths. So if you want to, you could do this, go back to your CGP revision guide or any other maths textbook that you used during GCSEs and just refresh yourself on probability, because trust me, that will really help. I did the same as well, and because I didn't take A-level maths, I kind of, neglected maths, so I wanted to go back and refresh myself, which I did, and it really did help. So doing that will help as well. Okay, so there are two things. Number one, going over your GCSE maths, and number two, the and or principle, which helped me a lot throughout working with probability. So let's take a look. Okay, so the and or principle. So let's just focus on and for now. Okay, so what does the word and actually mean? Basically, it's saying the probability of more than one event happening and both of them going in your favor. Basically, this is what this sentence here is trying to explain. So the probability of A multiplied by the probability of B. So both events happening, both events going in our favor. Now, by multiplying both of these probabilities, so the probability of A and B together will result in a smaller number. Now, for those who don't take maths, let's actually take a look as to why it will end up becoming a smaller number. Now, as you know, in probabilities, we use a lot of fractions. So, now when you multiply fractions, you're actually multiplying the result of that fraction. So basically, the decimal version of that fraction. So in this case, if we have a look, a half multiplied by a half is the same as saying 1 by 2, which is 0.5, and then take a half of that. So basically 0.5 multiplied by 0.5, which is 0.25, so the number decreases. So let's take a look at this example here. So Shumile rolls two normal six-sided dice. Calculate the probability that the first dice lands on a 4 and the second lands on a 3. Keyword here is and. So in the exam, you really want to have your eyes open and peeled for the keyword and. So we want both 4 and 3. Now the probability of rolling a 4 is what? The probability of rolling 4 is 1 over 6. Now why is it 1 over 6? Well, as we know, on a normal six-sided dice, there are 6 sides, and one of those sides is 4. So in total we have 6 sides, and one of those sides is a 4. Therefore, the probability of rolling a dice which lands on a 4 is 1 over 6. Hopefully that makes sense. And the same goes for 3 as well, because there are 6 sides on this dice, and one of those sides is a 3. So it will be 1 over 6. Now it's asking us to calculate the probability that the first dice lands on a 4 and the second dice lands on a 3. Now, going back to what and actually means, it basically wants two events or more than one event going in our favor. So in this case, the probability of landing on a 4 is 1 over 6, probability of landing on a 3 is 1 over 6, so all we have to do is multiply these two fractions together. And you should be able to do this in your head, which is 1 over 36, so B is our answer. Okay, so let's take a look at the OR principle. So hopefully the AND principle makes sense. If it doesn't, do comment down below. Now this OR principle is used when we have multiple outcomes and it doesn't really matter which outcome we get. Let's say for example I'm rolling a dice and I want either a 1, 3 or a 5. Like, I don't mind which one of those numbers I get, I just want a 1, 3 or a 5. Now here you are increasing your chances of winning because you have a higher probability of getting either one of those numbers. Now every time we see the word or, we want to think of adding the fractions together. So or we want to think of adding, and we want to think of multiplying. So sometimes we might forget which one is and, which one is or. Do we multiply, do we add? Well, here's a little mnemonic you can remember. So ax, ora, so A stands for and the X stands for the multiplication symbol. And then we've got ora, so we have OR, which is or, and then we've got the A at the end, which stands for addition, so adding. Okay, so let's take a look at this example here. So Shumile rolls a normal 6-sided dice. Calculate the probability that the dice lands on a 1, 3, or a 5. Now, what is the probability of getting a 1? Well, as we know, it's a normal 6-sided dice, and one of those sides has the number 1 on it. So, the probability of rolling a 1 is 1 over 6. The probability of rolling a 3, once again, it's a normal 6-sided dice. One of those sides on the 6 sides is a 3. And then the same again for 5, which is 1 over 6. And now we add them all up. And as a result, we get 3 over 6. Now in the answer options, we can't see 3 over 6. Does that mean you've done it wrong? No, it doesn't. It means you haven't simplified your answer. So 3 over 6 simplified is a half, and A is our answer. So hopefully this basic and or principle really does help you, because it definitely helped me and it made tackling probability questions a lot more easier. But once again, don't forget to go over your GCSE probability.